So your girlfriend, your friend, today cannot go because overstay long time.
She can't go.
I can't leave?
Why?
You overstay long time.
So
it's
can
okay.
I pay the fine and I can leave?
Under 60 day okay.
So I'll pay the
50
next...
day okay.
But I'll pay the next fine and I'll leave.
Stay Vietnam.
Oh my god,
If you-
please sir, I'm so sorry. It was an
you
honest
overstay under
mistake.
60, I think difficult for you today.
I don't want to stay. Oh my god. Okay, before we go any further, I need to tell you a little bit of a story about what's actually happened in the past so that you can understand why I'm crying to a Vietnamese customs agent right now. Let's sit down and get a little bit more comfortable. Hey, we're Max and Jackie. In July 2022, we packed our bags and began the transition from full-time entrepreneurs to full-time travelers and part-time entrepreneurs. Before that though, we spent 2 years trying to figure out how to work remotely so that we could ultimately live our dream of traveling and working on the moon. Okay, that's better. So I want to preface this video by saying that Max and I have been traveling full-time for a year now. Every time we go to a new country, we look up what are the visa situations for that country. Do we need to apply online? Do we get one on arrival? How long can we stay in that country? You know, we're not new at traveling. We understand that you do need to look up the rules before entering a country. So with Vietnam, when I Googled and I looked and I found all this information online, every source that I read told me that as an Australian citizen, I could get a visa on arrival. But that's actually not the case. You have to apply for an e-visa before you get to Vietnam. However, I didn't know this. So when I originally arrived in Vietnam on the 31st of March, I thought that I would be getting a visa on arrival. Turns out that wasn't the case. Max, being a French passport holder, actually does get a visa on arrival for 14 days. However, as an Australian citizen, I was supposed to apply for a visa online, and then once I acquired that visa, come to Vietnam. So when we got there, unfortunately, I was actually deported. So it was pretty intimidating, I'm not gonna lie. Deported, I don't know if this is the right word, but basically what happened is they refused me entry to Vietnam, and I was taken by the customs agents into they called it a detention center. Basically it was an overnight holding room that I had to stay in until I could get the earliest flight out the next morning back to the port in which I'd come from, which happened to be Singapore. If you've been following along with our vlogs, you'll have seen that we actually filmed a Singapore layover video, and so it actually happened right after that video. So basically what happened is I was kept in this pretty cold room for a night. I wasn't really told anything. I wasn't provided any food or any water. I'm back in the same area, and the little cafe, the guy was like, you can go buy soft drink or food. There's no food there, but they do have coffee. The one saving grace that they gave to me to stop me from being completely terrified is that before they took me in there, they warned us that I wouldn't have access to internet. So thankfully Max had the forethought to go and buy me a Vietnamese SIM card from the shop to make sure that I would at least have internet whilst I was in there and we could communicate. Max wasn't allowed to come with me. I had to go by myself because you can't just choose to spend a night in a detention center. It kind of felt like I was like this illegal immigrant, and nobody was talking to me or telling me what was going on. I stayed overnight in that room by myself, and then at about 6 a.m. the next morning, after they'd given me no information, I kept asking last night, like, should I buy a ticket? Should I buy a ticket? And they kept saying, no, 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 someone will come speak to you. And then someone just came now. They said they're gonna go arrange a ticket, but they don't know what time it will be. Didn't tell me whether I should book my own flight or wait for them to book me a flight or what was gonna happen to me. They came and collected me, took me outside to wait even longer, and then I got on an 8 a.m. flight back to Singapore. Once I got back to Singapore, I was collected again by security, from Singapore airport who walked me to customs. I had to book some accommodation and explain to them what happened. They were thankfully so understanding. And you know what, to be fair, the Vietnamese custom agents, it's not like they were specifically cruel to me. I just think it's the same process, whether you've made an honest mistake or whether you're like actually illegally trying to enter a country, it's the same process. So you get treated the same either way. They weren't specifically cruel. It was just the not knowing, the not having the information and being alone that was a little bit traumatizing. So anyway, Max and I ended up going to Cambodia after that. We applied for our Vietnamese visas and I got mine approved. I just put in a date that I thought we might enter, but then we ended up going and spending time in Cambodia, and I actually entered Vietnam on the 22nd of April. Now, my understanding, again, after all the research I'd done on Vietnam visas, was once I entered the country, I had a 30-day visa. I could stay in the country for 30 days until I left. This is also not the case. Your visa is valid for 30 days from the date of approval, which basically means I told them that I was going to be entering the country on the 6th of April, but I didn't actually enter until the 22nd of April. Max and I are really flexible travelers. We don't work with a plan. We're pretty fluid. We book flights just like 1 week ahead or 2 weeks ahead. Sometimes we book accommodations the day we're going there. So basically at this point, we'd arrived at the Hanoi International Airport. We were trying to leave and I was being told that I would have to go back to Hanoi for what? I don't know. I don't know what would have happened.
Now you must pay fee the 1,250,000 Vietnam dollars.
In total?
Total. You.
Me?
Yeah. Your girlfriend. Your friend. Today cannot go because overstay long time.
Yeah.
After that you can go, but long time you go back to Hanoi, working with immigration head office.
Please,
no,
sir,
no.
please, I'm so sorry. Yeah. And Max was going to be able to leave and pay a fine. Luckily, that didn't happen. I'm so grateful that I was able to pay the fine.
I think the expensive about 4 to 5 million.
5 million.
Yeah.
If we give 4, we can go.
Yeah. And
Okay.
you okay?
Okay, yeah. Here's 4. 4
million.
Yeah. Can we go?
No, for her. For her.
Okay, here's 4 for her. I'll go get 1 for me. Or 1 to something.
1 to 5.
1 to 5, okay? And then we all happy?
Okay. I repost my boss and he accept this one time. This time.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
And now where do you go? Give me your money. 4 million for you.
Okay.
And
1,
he-
2, yeah.
1,250,000.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Okay.
This time is okay, but the next time remember, should not overstay again.
I don't think I would have been okay with staying another night in Vietnam. It's really terrifying being in that kind of situation, especially because it truly was an honest mistake. And just speaking about it now, I feel a little bit like a lot of you are maybe gonna watch this video and be like, well, it's your own fault. You read the wrong website, so you should have done your research. And I did. That's the most frustrating thing. I feel stupid enough. You don't need to tell me I'm stupid. Trust me, I feel dumb. We paid a big fine. I had a traumatizing experience. And yeah, we just hope that this doesn't happen to anyone else. And that you know that once you enter the country, that's when your visa is valid from the date you said you were gonna enter, not the date you actually enter. There are so many people going to Vietnam, and the time that we had in Vietnam was amazing. But to be honest, it's left a little bit of a bad taste in our mouth because of the way we had to enter and exit. It really is scary. So even though the experience inside Vietnam was so amazing, we were a little bit left feeling not so good about that country. However, if you do the right thing, honestly, Vietnam was so great. We had such a good time there, and we just need to try and forget about those mistakes that we made and remember the good times there because it was great.
Stay out of airspace.
Now we just need to get into the island.
Made it.